The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, folks? Welcome to the Blue and Black Attack Podcast. I'm Panther Pickle, joined here by D Money, brother. How you doing?
Hey man, I'm doing absolutely just magnificent. Uh Brave the snow, brave the weather. Happy to be here talking some Panther football and everything else with my fellas, this blue and black attack family, getting stronger every week. If you ain't with us now, you ain't welcome to the parade. Yee.
Cole. How you doing, Colby?
Hey, buddy. I am doing a lot better than I was. I've been sick as hell, plus the snowstorm's been going on. I haven't been doing a whole lot. I've just been laying low, my friend. Ready to
Yep,
get back into it. Glad to be here with y'all. Keep pounding.
appreciate you. DEEZE Skills, my man. What's up?
Not much, brother. Doing good. Doing real good. I had a lot better day than you did, my friend. I know you had a
Amen.
rough one, and I'm glad you still had enough gumption to get on here and run us. Episode 12, deal with it already. Thank all you guys for being a part of it. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Let's keep this Pickle podcast running just as salty and sour as possible by all means.
Yes, sir. I could be salty a little bit. Woke up this morning. It was minus 4 degrees. My truck wouldn't start, and my water was frozen. So I had to crawl underneath the trailer this morning twice and fix it. But it's all right. It's all done and over with, and the world goes on. But you know what I did? I kept pounding. That's what it is, because we keep pounding here. You know, kind of like during the Pro Bowl practice, our man, Jimmy Horn, no, J.C. Horn. I got myself mixed up. J.C. Horn didn't go to the first practice because he was snowed in Charlotte. Chris and McGraffy are like, oh. But he made the other one. And that's all that counts.
Well, it's
We really were
unfortunate.
snowed in, no doubt about it.
Right.
Yeah, it's unfortunate he got snowed in, but hey, you can't keep a good dog down. You know
That's a
what I mean?
fact. That's a fact. Let's hear what some of these boys have to say. They all gonna sign Nate Ball.
Shout out athletes first, baby.
We had a gift for you. We had all the teammates, all the defensive people from AFC and NFC sign that.
It's tough, man. I appreciate that. Got some guys up here. Yeah, I appreciate y'all.
Well, I thought we was gonna see a bunch of. Well, anyway, y'all know what that's all about, don't you? That's a rough. Yes, sir.
That's still pretty cool. Everybody signed the 8 ball.
It was absolutely, and
Oh, that's what that was. I didn't even catch that. That's cool. That is cool.
yep. And you know what? If he decides to sell it someday for a charity, he get a lot of money off that.
Absolutely.
So,
Oh,
but,
yeah, Miles Garrett's on that thing. You got to sell that.
yeah, yep. So, but you never know. He might just keep it, and maybe someday, his children put it in the Hall of Fame. I could see that. If he goes into the Hall of Fame, it could be something he introduces to him. A lot
Yeah,
of
that
these
was
things
awesome.
happen. Also, we got news today that on Thursday, Luke Kuechly will know whether he officially makes it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Where we here at the Blue Black Attack Podcast are pulling for Luke Kuechly to make the Hall of Fame.
I think it's a shoe in. I don't think you can hold that man back. If you hold that man back from the Hall of Fame, then it just really proves that they have a problem with Charlotte, North Carolina. When you're compared to Ray Lewis in every facet of your skill set, your game, and productivity, and in some lights, even better. There is no way that he doesn't get that ballot for Hall of Fame. So all I'm gonna say is congratulations in advance to number 59, Sir Luke Kuechly, for making it to the Hall of Fame.
Beautiful. First ballot. We shouldn't even be having this conversation, Pickle. We should have already been in.
What's up, Stick City 9994?
What up, J Rock?
What's up, bro? Um, yeah, I think Luke Kuechly is a shoe in for a Hall of Fame. I'm kind of biased, but I still think he is anyway because I think I he made an impact, a literally impact on the game. He's a guy that not one quarterback in the NFL said, he ain't that tough. Not one of them didn't have to go extra. Not one offensive coordinator didn't stay up extra a couple hours that night before studying on old Luke Kuechly. They had to game plan against Luke Kuechly himself. There ain't a whole lot of NFL defensive players you can say the offensive coordinator had to set a game plan just to take on Luke Kuechly.
Anytime you're that guy that they really got a game plan around you,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much your Hall of Famer anyway. When they
Right,
have to adjust their whole offense to one linebacker, one out of 11 players, you know you're special.
right,
And Luke has done it with class. He has represented the Carolina. You couldn't represent the Panthers any better than he has represented us. Just a real good guy. I
right,
think even people who are not Panthers fans would acknowledge not just the on field Luke Kuechly, but if they've got to experience him off field, I've never heard anybody have any kind of remotely negative thing to ever say about Luke Kuechly whatsoever.
right, right.
I think he's heralded throughout the league. I couldn't think of that term I wanted to use, but that's it.
And then on top of that, he goes to what me and Deez like to talk about, the humble beginnings. I mean, went to high school, was a great high school player, went on to Boston College, and did great things at Boston College. But let's be real, nobody really ever looks at Boston College as just an NFL factory of players, or that a Hall of Famers really coming out of Boston College or greatness and so forth, just at the level that he brought. And for him to put the kind of work ethic that he was a really get it out the mud type of player, realizing that if I put these hours in and I put this effort in and I put this work in, it kind of correlates and reminds me of Kobe Bryant with his Mamba mentality of, guys are going to start working out at 7 in the morning. I'm working out at 5 in the morning. These guys here going to the club. I'm going to watch film right now. And those are those guys that separate from being good and great football players to being in that Hall of Fame and being enshrined with that great bust. And Luke Kuechly exemplifies all those things. And it's just amazing that we actually have one of those kind of dogs on our team that we can honor in such a manner. And I hope that he's the one that's going to help open the Hall of Fame doors for other Carolina Panthers that are also well deserving. We was able to get Peppers in. It's time to bring Kuechly in. And then I think the floodgates open there with other great Panther legends.
Yeah, I'd like to see Steve Smith make it in. I know there's a lot of backlogged wide receivers that need to go in first. So I feel like Luke will end up making the Hall of Fame before Steve does. But there's still that opportunity, Pickle. Isn't there still that opportunity that we could see both of them in this year? Didn't they both make it to the finals?
No,
Finalist
I,
list?
I thought that as well, but I really looked into it. I'm not certain. I think it was Cole had made a statement or something that he thought somebody had said that Steve was already out of it, and I thought, okay, let me back up and make sure that what I said on Twitter that was correct or not. So I really looked into it, and I'm finding out that Steve is definitely did not make the. They have multiple cuts they have to do. They start up
Right,
with
right.
one number, and ever so often, well, um, Steve didn't make the last one. You know, there's been a lot of commotion that Belichick didn't make the cut. Well, neither did Steve Smith, and nobody cried about Steve. So, you know, a lot of Panther fans are crying, and that's something I'm going to bring up real quick. A lot of Panther fans want to cry over Bill Belichick, and I'm not going to call anybody out, but you know who you are, y'all. You on Twitter and YouTube watching, you know who you are. You'll cry about Bill Belichick. Let me tell you what. If Bill Belichick's off-season issues or his how we want to call it Deflategate and all that shouldn't keep him out of the Hall of Fame,
Cheating?
neither should Steve Smith's personal affairs keep him out of the Hall of Fame.
You really
If
think that's what it is, Pickle?
no, I don't. I really think that truthfully, I think voters, when they voted for the Hall of Fame, they pick two guys. Whether a running back, and I don't remember his name, I'm sorry, an older running back was going to make the Hall of Fame, or Bill Belichick. And let's understand this. Folks, once some of these older players who been retired for decades now, once they can only stay at that level for a while before they have to start at the beginning. Once this is his last year, if he doesn't make it in, he may not never make it because he got to go all the way to the back. Then already most people don't know who he is. So a lot of voters voted for him because they knew Bill Belichick had another year to get in. They knew that. And, you know, I personally believe that's what a lot of it is. And a lot of these folks all over Twitter and all over YouTube and wanting to make a highlight of themselves. I'm going to investigate and find out who voted and who didn't. Ain't no your damn business. If I was a voter for all that time, you asked me that, I'd tell you it ain't no your damn business. I got where I got by respecting these players. I didn't get where I was at by blabbing to the media because some snot-nosed punk wannabe fan thought he was more important than everybody else. That's my opinion is, man.
Is that how you feel, Pickle? Is that the deal?
It's kind
Yeah,
of hard
that's
to
how I
follow
feel.
that.
I was over here talking
It's
things
nothing against Bill Belichick. I'll be honest, I really could care less. But here's something I want to say that nobody wants to address. Nobody's going to address the elephant in the room. Nobody. Okay, but I will because this is my show and I'm going to do what I damn well want to do.
on.
Now, nobody wants to talk about Bill Belichick ain't officially retired yet. Nobody's going to convince me. I'm going to use a hypothetical scenario. Let's say, I'll just use this. Let's just say Nick Sirianni from the Eagles. Let's hypothetically say the Eagles play him out this year. And they get tired and and the Eagles owner sends Nick Sirianni on his way. He picks up the phone to Chapel Hill and he says, Bill, come help me out and be my head coach for a couple years. Bill says, sure. So he packs up and goes back in there. Now, how can he go into coaching him already in the Hall of Fame? He's still coaching. It ain't like he retired from coaching.
But hasn't a coach done that though?
Yes. Yes. And it was an embarrassment to Washington. Sure enough, ask any Washington, they fail you. When Joe Gibbs came out of retirement, he was in the Hall of Fame. He was still involved in racing, and he steps in to be a head coach. It was an embarrassment. It was absolutely an embarrassment to Washington. And you know, like I said, that's just my opinion. Everybody has their own opinions. And to be honest with you, we can cry, boo-hoo, and yell, but it ain't going to affect anybody's decision anywhere. Because the folks that do this voting are NFL media that have been doing this for decades. Darren Gant is one. Bill Polian is another. There's many of them out there. You can Google it. It's not hard to find who votes for the Hall of Fame. These guys don't really care if you like it or not. They've been around this league by far too much, and they really don't care how much a fan cries about it. That ain't
That's
going to
true.
change your vote.
That's very true.
Now, I do believe Bill Belichick will get in the Hall of Fame, and he should be in the Hall of Fame. Let's not mix that. But why aren't people want to ask how come the NFL officials over the Hall of Fame will only let 5 to 7 guys in the Hall of Fame a year? If there is a backlog, as there is, why are they only allowing that? Why don't nobody want to change the rules? You know, NFL, excuse me, a well-established guy on XM radio has an opinion, and I agree with it. Why not have 5 players and maybe 5 media or 5 non-football guys? Or even if you want to put maybe 3 non-football guys, let your players have theirs. And you got GMs, you've got sports media guys, you've got announcers, you've got coaches. All these guys could be non-players that could enter the Hall of Fame. But yet, Greg Olsen, what we've often talked, Greg Olsen may never be a Hall of Fame tight end. But even though I'm biased, I don't think he should be. But I'd put every Panther in there in the Hall of Fame, even if they don't belong in there. But we've often talked that he's an excellent broadcaster. Maybe someday he goes into the Hall of Fame as a broadcaster. That's special. Bill Polian went in as a GM. Bill Belichick will go in as a head coach. So why can there only be 5? What? Are there less room in the Hall of Fame? I mean, you got to make room.
I guess. Well, the lame excuse would be, well, we only got 3 hours to induct these people.
Yeah, that's the lame excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell everybody, shorten everybody's talk time. Come on, let's be real. How long you want to hear an old guy get up and tell a speech and thanks people that are nearly all dead anyway?
It depends on the
So, I mean, besides, can y'all imagine Bill Belichick's Hall of Fame speech? I'd like to thank the Patriots, even though they fired my ass. I'd like to thank Tom Brady, even though I was a better coach than he was a player.
I
I'd
did
like
not deflate any balls. I never deflated any balls.
yeah, it was
That was all
girlfriend
Tom.
said. I shouldn't have said that. That was mean. Shout out to his girlfriend. Him and her are no longer having a relationship. I
So it's
apologize,
not his
Bill.
girlfriend.
And that happened right about the time he found out he wasn't going to the Hall of Fame this year.
Oh, we can win now. All right. Yay.
Yeah. Well, he quit deflating, or he was never proven guilty of deflating footballs because they lost the cell phone.
What about the filming the Philadelphia Eagles opening drive?
Oh, that was an accident. They was taking pictures for autograph session and goofed up.
Sure.
Oh, dang. Oh, wow. What about those 3 pass interferences on the Carolina Panthers that was not 3 pass interferences, but the check hadn't cleared yet, but they still called them pass interferences?
Exactly.
Ah,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
some of that.
They screwed us all the way back in there. They still screwing the Carolina Panthers. Somehow or
Yeah.
another, our money from Charlotte ain't as good as that New York money.
It can't be because I remember kicking my TV stand after them pass interferences. I was like, "What is? We didn't do this all year. How all of a sudden we're doing it now?" And then
Right.
you see the replay, and you're like, "That's pass interference."
But some people want to blame the kicker for all that mess. And the only reason we was only in the Super Bowl because he was kicking that ball good enough.
Nah, I believe they would have just called other plays to get them right back where they needed to be. Because doggone it, there's no way there was 3. Out of those 3, there might have been 1 pass interference. but there was not three. I think that third one just put them perfectly. Old Vinatieri. I still don't like that name, Vinatieri.
No, name gives me nightmares still.
I don't know if I ever saw Vinatieri. Like, I'm generally a nice person, but I don't even know if I could speak to the fella.
Kick him in the shin.
I said I'm trying to be
Hey,
a
buddy,
nice fella.
that can't be the entire list, my friend. That's all offense.
Yeah, as you can see, I shared there some of the modern era players to get in. One
Right,
of them's Torrey Holt. Torrey Holt
right.
was the one that they talked about was holding back Steve Smith from getting in. They felt
Yes,
like if
yeah,
Torrey Holt got in, then Steve Smith would be close behind.
right.
He did win the Triple Crown. So uh, I'm still thinking that we'll see him make it. You know, and I'm not seeing Luke Kuechly listed here either. But this is only the offensive side of the ball. But anyway, yeah, I think Keith will make it this year, and I think Steve Smith is within the next 3 years. Would be my guess. If Torrey Holt gets in this year, that'd be my guess. I think Larry Fitzgerald is a shoe in to make it this year.
Oh, yeah, Fitzgerald without a shadow of a doubt.
Hard to find a better one than him. I've always been a fan of Larry. Great guy. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
Lowry.
how y'all
I'm
feel about
gonna-
quarterbacks? Drew Brees, Eli Manning. I guess they're both going in, ain't they? I know some people don't like Eli Manning going into the Hall of Fame. Any of y'all got any complaints about that?
I
First
Uh,
do, but his
ballot,
ring to
first
get in
ballot, I
is
have a
something worth
problem
having,
with.
isn't it?
I have a
this
problem with first ballot, but I think he should be in. But let's be quite honest, outside of the performances against Brady in the Super Bowls,
Twice, yep.
very like knock your socks off kind of career, in my opinion.
uh, Fox, I want to say this. This is from the Pro Football Hall of Fame.com. It's Pro Football HOF.com. Okay, and this is the
This is third party content that we don't have copyright to, but we are offering commentary over. Just wanted to say that, Pickle.
right,
Yes,
exactly,
we are
exactly.
citing your
Not,
sources.
not, we're not. Yes, this we don't have rights over this. We are just sharing the link. We want everybody to understand where they can go and watch this if they like. Um, and this is as it says, the modern era players along with their position, years, and teams are Willie Anderson, a tackle from 1996 to 2007 Cincinnati Bengals and 2008 Baltimore Ravens. Drew Brees, a quarterback. I'm going to skip some of these as far as the names because y'all already know them. Drew Brees, Ajari Evans, a guard. Uh, Larry Fitzgerald, a wide receiver. Frank Gore, a running back. Terry Holt, a wide receiver. Luke Kuechly, a linebacker. Eli Manning, a quarterback. Terrell Suggs, an outside linebacker slash defensive end. Adam Vinatieri, a kicker. Reggie Wayne, a wide receiver. Kevin Williams, a defensive tackle. Jason Witten, a tight end. Darren Woodson, a safety. And Marshall Younganda, a guard slash tackle. Now, the selection committee may select up to 5 modern era for the class of 2026. Each must receive a minimum positive 5. Each must receive a minimum positive vote of 80% for election. 5 others, senior category finalists, Ken Anderson, Roger Craig, L.C. Greenwood, along with Coach finalist Bill Belichick and contributor finalist Robert Kraft are also candidates for the 2026. Voting on these 5 is conducted separately as its own group, distinctive from the modern era players. A minimum of 1 person and a maximum of 3 from the combined categories may be selected under the current Hall's bylaws. While there is no set number for any class of resignees, a Hall of Fame current selection process bylaw stipulates that between 4 and 8 new members shall be selected.
Mhm.
And I again encourage everybody to, as you can see, Willie Anderson's times as a finalist are 5. Drew Brees is 1. Ajari Evans is 3. You see, Reggie Raines been there 3 years or 7 years, as is Torrey Holt. Darren Woodson's been there 4 years. You know, so a lot of these guys have been waiting for a while.
Yeah, I got to get Wayne in too before Steve Smith.
Right,
I got to get
exactly.
Wayne and Torrey Holt in
Right,
before
and
Steve
it
Smith.
goes on, and explains.
So 3 of the older players, I think they get Roger Craig in this year.
Yeah,
He's the only one that shares that record with Christian McCaffrey. The only one in history, NFL history. I
right.
think they get Roger Craig in this
Right.
year.
That's the one that I was my understanding that a lot of the voters for the Hall of Fame were really kind of not questioning. That's what a lot of them were really having issues with. They wanted to get Roger Craig in there. They basically choose between Roger Craig and Bill Belichick or Robert Kraft. So, um,
Roger Craig should have been in.
right.
It's criminal that he wasn't already in.
Well, yeah. Again, uh, uh, what's it? Jock Stick City. Yeah. Wayne may not get in legal stuff. Again, though, you can't hold that against him. If you hold it for one, you got to hold it for everybody. You understand what I'm saying? I think you can't say, well, he can't let him in for legal stuff. Then you turn around and say, well, Steve Smith has had this against him. We can't put him in. Bill Belichick's got off the field issues. You shouldn't put him in. But that's just my opinion. Maybe all those shouldn't be
Michael
together.
Irvin got in, then there shouldn't be no legal issue that a player should be able not to
Right.
get in. Michael
And,
Irvin did it all.
right. Right there is the link for the website from Pro Football Hall of Fame. Please go there and show your love and read up on these. Uh, there will be things that you don't know. So,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how the legal stuff will affect it. I think it does have some effect. I understand what the points that have been made. That
right,
this should be fair across the board, but that's not really life. I mean, sometimes
right,
sometimes it comes back to bite you, and it's just kind of how it plays out. If it's something that's sticking out in people's minds because of what's going
right,
on currently or whatever, then maybe that could affect him. I
right,
don't think so. I think he's going to get put in, but
right,
but I thought it was a good point to bring up. It was something I hadn't thought about.
right, right. Um,
I'm very biased. I'm ready for Torrey Holt to get in. I've watched Torrey Holt since he played college football, and once he gets in, I wholeheartedly agree. Stevie will be in shortly behind him. I really need to see
Yeah, I'm
that.
with you.
The NC
I'm with you
State
100%.
bias runs strong with this one.
Absolutely, absolutely, wholeheartedly. The man gave us our first win over a top 10 Florida State team that scored 3 touchdowns by himself. Absolutely getting in the Hall of Fame.
Y'all see that blasphemy by Mike down there in the comments, just shouting out Sean Payton. Don't be doing that, Mike. Don't don't do that.
Proud of Sean Payton. But you know what,
We
Deez? I
can't
was
we
sitting
can't
here.
cheer for
I
Sean
was.
Payton. I know you like Bo
I
Nix. I know you
know.
like Oregon, but we still
Brother,
can't.
brother, Sean
We can't.
Payton.
I did say I wanted Sean Payton when we were hunting coaches last time, though. But I still hate him.
Sean Payton is still a dumb son of a bitch.
Thank you.
Wow.
We're not fans. We're not big
I will
fans of the
never
guy.
be a fan of that smart. Let me tell you what Sean Payton is the it, after a playoff loss, he's still the only coach in every single playoff loss he's ever had complains about the referees, his own players, and always fires a coach of his after a playoff loss. Always. He always fires at least a coach. One coach. I mean, that offensive coordinator didn't call plays. Okay, it wasn't that offensive coordinator's fault. They went for it instead of kicking the field goal. That right there was on Sean Payton.
Passing up those opportunities early in the game. I know what you're talking about.
Right.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's just like during the Super Bowl. John Fox would not kick those extra points. And I believe if he'd have kicked them extra points, we'd have walked away with the W on that Super Bowl. We wouldn't need that field goal. But that's strictly my opinion. And
it affected me too. Like now, when it's playoff time, I get way more conservative. You know what I mean? I'm like, we're close, we're in range. Let's go ahead and kick it now and just see what happens. Right. We can score later. Yeah, I feel the same way now. I'm gun shy too, and this current Panthers team isn't the team to be gun shy on at all. We went for it more and converted more on fourth down than anybody else in the league. So you got to have some steel nerves watching this current Panthers team, but because of what happened in the past, I feel the same way you did, Pickle.
Well, to piggyback off of that, you were saying at the highest percentage. And I noticed as we were getting towards the end of the season and getting close to playoff time, a lot more teams got out of their conservative bag also and started getting a little gutsy. Some to their benefit, some to their detriment. I just think a lot of teams can't find that happy balance, so they just either gonna stay overly conservative or they're gonna be aggressive. I just think for us being in situations where we really didn't have nothing to lose, it really did benefit us to have that kind of aggression to, go forward more.
I feel like it's just our brand of football. We've always been an aggressive team, and when our backs are against the wall, I've seen us go for it when we're in terrible field position. If we're rolling like that, you can get a yard, you can throw the analytics out the window. And as far as I'm concerned, we're good enough up front to do that from time to time. But I have seen us fail. Nobody's perfect in those situations.
right.
I do
We're
remember a time
deeply entrenched in
when it was just 3 plays on the punt. There wasn't
Sure.
there was a little stretch we had with just 3 plays on the punt.
3 runs and a punt. I mean, it was even worse than that back in the days of Foxy. I mean, it was. I remember a lot of third and longs. We ran draws up the middle, and we were just done with it. And we punt the football. And remember, Pickle quotes it all the time. John Fuchs said that a punt was a good offensive play. So
Absolutely.
we ran the fire out of it back in the day.
That shit boils me to my core, but he used to love to say that shit.
But now, like you were saying, Cole, we're deeply entrenched into the analytics. And if the paper says go, depending on the down distance and where we are on the football field, then we go, no questions asked. And it's a whole different ball game than what it used to be, for sure.
Yeah.
It gives you a sense of confidence that you can do that shit, too.
And some of that, I'm a firm believer that the coach may not want to go for it, but analytics guy says go for it, so you suck it up and go for it because he said so. And the owner's already told you he wants to be an analytics football.
But you hire those people for
so,
I agree.
So, and then the sad part about it is how many coaches go for it. And the analytics said to go for it. He may not have would, but the owner says you're still the head coach. I'm still going to fire you for it.
It's still your fault.
Yeah, because we know that happens, especially if your owner is a New York Football Jet owner or a Cleveland Brown owner.
Oof.
Yeah, coaches don't really get the benefit of the doubt in the NFL. I mean, it is what it is. And Dave Canales is going into his 3rd year as well, Pickle. And it's like he's got to have a great year because it's year 3. Everything he calls is going to get scrutinized. And I'm just already prepared myself for it. I'm preparing you guys, the great, wonderful listeners that we have on this podcast tonight. I'm letting all you guys know that's what's going to happen next year. We're going to hear it all season long. If the Panthers are dropping earlier games or the Panthers don't look prepared in the preseason, a lot of it's going to be put square on Dave Canales. And it's not going to matter that the guys in the background are calling things for analytics and it doesn't work out, it's going to be on his shoulders squarely. That's
Right.
just the NFL, and that's just the way things go in the league. And the coaches get sacrificed first, and they don't really nobody stand up for them. They just get they get cut, they get walked over, they go somewhere else, they get to try again, and it is what it is.
Right. And I'll just say this: if y'all, if well, I'm a firm believer in playing your players during preseason to get them game ready. And yeah, you got practice, you got scrimmages, but nothing replaces live helmet,
Nope.
shoulder pads, in game action. And when you fail to play your players in a preseason, don't complain when they come out rusty and rough and expect them to win. And when the fan base goes off because this player wasn't ready, don't let that same fan say, well, they shouldn't play the players in preseason. Some of these fans are biting the bullet on both ends. When
I'll
you
say this, Pickle. I'm no longer a fan of joint practices. These
Me
last
neither.
2 years, I have not seen where these joint practices have benefited us at all.
I agree, sir. I really do.
Well,
I think
so
there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of hype. I think there's a lot of hype on these joint practices because the NFL wants there to be hype. I really believe that. The NFL wants there to be hype. And I don't believe there is a lot of, I don't believe there's a benefit to, there's as much benefit on the joint practice as the NFL wants to push there is. Maybe at one point, if it's handled correctly, but I don't believe that a lot of these are actually work.
There is a lot more focus than there was in the past on them. That's for sure.
Right.
And we got to remember the NFL is looking to move to an 18 game season
Uh,
anyway, and move down to only 2 preseason games.
right.
And to me, at this point, it would almost be better, in my opinion, Pickle. I know that's a lot of games. It's already a long season. Already, a lot of guys get injured anyway. You have to have
Right.
depth to go the distance. You have to have solid depth to go the distance. That's literally one of the main differences between good teams and bad teams in the NFL. Is the teams that have the depth to sustain injuries all year and still be a coherent team on the field. And
Right.
I like the idea of 2 preseason games because you get your first one and you just let your backups play, then you do your cuts. Then you have your second one. It's the dress rehearsal. It's when your starters play for a good solid quarter, maybe a little more, and then you take them out. So I think the 18 game lineup will actually be better as far as the preseason is concerned because I don't like the 3 preseason games. I would rather have 4 than 3, or I'd rather have 2 than 3, if that makes any sense. But that's just, once again, my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I understand. I do. I think 18 games is too long. Uh, the NFL is going to do it. Grenett Roger was asked today about it. He said there's been no official talks, preliminary talks. Like I said before, if I am the NFLPA, I'm going to get a lot more out of that negotiation than the NFL owners are going to want to give up. I'm going to make sure that there's no inactive. I'm going to increase the roster size. I'm going to make sure there's no. I'm going to make sure that there's no. There's no inactivations. Period. I'm going to increase the roster to 60 guys at least. I'm going to make sure there's no inactivations, and there's going to be at least 12 to 15 practice squad members. And no, you can't steal off my practice squad. You can trade players from my practice squad, but you can't steal players off of it. That's me, though. That's just me. That's what I would do.
The, the,
I would also throw in the turf. If the NFL wants 18 games, then remove artificial turf over every stadium in the NFL. That's maybe with the exception of some domes that have to have the artificial turf in there. But you know,
I don't like the NFLPA's chances on that one.
nope.
right. But
It's a
if
great
I'm
idea for the players, but I don't
right,
think the
right.
NFLPA is going to push
Well,
hard enough to get it.
yeah, well, the NFLPA won't because the NFLPA ain't got no backbone. But listen, money talks. And when money talks, the NFLPA opens up in pockets and said, slide them hundreds right in here, brother. Anything you want, I'll make it happen. That's my opinion, mind you.
Yeah, but the active roster thing is a big deal. I mean,
Right.
right now it's 53. You'd increase it by 7 to 60. No inactives, so all
Right.
those guys are ready and available to come into the game. It does
Right.
away with needing the third quarterback rule. If you
Right.
increase it to 60, you don't have to have the third quarterback as
Mhm.
an active roster emergency
Right.
quarterback. You don't have to worry about it because you got 60 now. You got
Right.
enough that you can make your own decisions. And
And
if you
you
shortchange your team and quarterbacks, that's your fault then.
right. And you can actually go into it in the NFL, an NFL game with 9 offensive linemen active on a game if you choose to. You know, you can have 3, 4 extra offensive linemen. You know, I
Which
mean,
needs to
if
be the
you want.
case.
Right.
Rather than,
Right.
if we're talking about player safety, isn't that another element to player safety?
Absolutely.
If you got less guys to back up and one of them's not feeling great, and you say, well, hey, man, I can't take you out. The Panthers, we saw that this season with Jake Curhan. He was the last guard on the roster. There
Right.
wasn't another guard, not on the practice squad, nowhere. We had to pull somebody out of the stands, and it probably would have been Cole
Mhm.
if I was to guess. If it was going to be
I
anybody,
would be
we put
ready.
Cole at guard. Yes.
3
So,
plays.
We would have
Yeah, 3 plays. That's all I got.
that particular game. Well, I don't that game. I know in the game we didn't have any offensive linemen, and the coach was asked, and he said, who did he say? He said we had one of our tight ends warming up to play tackle. Was taking tackle reps on the sidelines.
I believe
See
it.
how it worked out. Fact. In
That
that
has an
scenario, I
emergency.
would rather put the tight end at guard. I think I would put him at guard than tackle, but maybe tackle would be better suited for him because had been
Yeah,
he
if you
often
get him
plays
down on the
beside the
inside,
tackle.
the linemen just get bigger. I can see where they would maybe
Right.
try to tackle. Good
Right.
God, man, that's terrible thoughts to have. I hope we
I
never
mean,
have to deal with that.
if that's going to happen, I would rather have. I like Tommy, y'all, but come on, Tommy ain't no tackle.
We're gonna be in
I mean,
trouble.
I might would try to put a defensive lineman out in tackle. I don't know. There's been some tight ends in the history of the NFL. What's that big boy up there in plays for the Steelers, Coach?
Darnell Washington. I already knew
Yeah,
you were
he can
talking
he
about
can
it.
line
As
up.
soon as you said it, I knew exactly who you were talking about.
Yeah, he'd be all right to line up there. Maybe even
That's a
that
big man,
300.
dude.
Yeah,
The Ravens fullback would be a good emergency tackle. He a big boy too. So
He ain't even that tall. We don't
no,
have the
but
arms for it, I don't think, but he
right,
can. He's got the weight for it. Yeah, he's
right,
big.
right.
He's shaped
big.
like
Gotta
a
give him something.
square.
Right. I mean, you reckon Ray with the Panthers that defensive tackle reckon he can play linebacker. I reckon he can play offensive lineman.
I really
I,
want to
would,
find
I,
I
out.
mean,
wouldn't, I wouldn't want to put my quarterback through that.
Nope.
uh, I don't know.
Three tight end sets the rest of the game, bro. That's
We're
Yeah,
in
it.
trouble.
Y'all ain't putting Bryce back there with LeBron LeRay at tackle.
Ask
Yeah,
We
him.
ain't doing it.
yeah. I can see Bryce say, "Coach, uh, you sure you like me, bro?"
I can hear him. Well, my ankle hurts. I'm not gonna be able to continue.
Well, I got to do one of my limbs is bad limbs. Oh, I'm hurting already, bro. I don't think I can make it, man. Andy,
Nope.
you gotta go in. Andy said, "Oh no, I'm feeling dizzy."
Right.
So let's talk about what the Raiders did, Pickle,
Right.
and talk about what didn't happen for us in this defense
Yes. Yes.
going.
Real quick, I want to pull this up. This relates to this. Jonathan Stewart put this out, and I, I was hoping I'd get that later, but um, I really think this is a good point by him. Um, oh, that's better. Um, he says a lot of changes in the NFL. This is by Jonathan Stewart at Jonathan Stew 1. 10 head coaches, 6 first timers, 21 offensive coordinator changes, 15 defensive changes. The Panthers remain solid. You got to love the stability, and that's something to talk about. The stability. Been a while since the Panthers can say they haven't hired or fired a coach in offseason.
Crazy.
Um, yeah, and for those who are not aware of the Raiders, Gerald Rivero would have been their second hire, but the Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak will agree to become the Raiders head coach. Um, and the Rams will hire, or the Cardinals will hire the Rams offensive coordinator. That fills up all the head coaching opportunities. Ejero was the number 2 guy picked by the Raiders, we're being told. So if something happens and Kubiak would have stayed with the Seahawks or went with the Cardinals, Ivero would have been their head coach. So, but that happens, and yes, sir, we'll have uh, the extra 2 third-round picks would have come in handy, but um, um,
I think he's on the right path of Arrow to becoming a
exactly.
head coach in the NFL. I mean, he gets
Hmm.
interviews every year.
Right,
This year, we saw him make it closer than he ever has to becoming a
right.
head coach in the NFL.
Hmm.
We saw him turn around a team or turn around a defense that everyone wrote off, but they didn't write back. They
Right,
finished around the middle of the league. I know they had some stats that were bad, like pressure rate and pressure EPAs, things like this. That there were poor stats for the defense because we're not a blitzing defense. We're a sit back and wait. There's two different styles of thought in the NFL. Some guys come after you, and some guys sit back and wait and see what you're going to do. If is one of those, we're going to sit back and we're going to see what you're going to do type of defensive coordinators. They are effective. It got Robert Saleh a second head coaching try. I know you said you were happy with what the Titans were doing, and
right.
I think Avero's, in a way, is kind of following in those same footsteps in the NFL, the same path to a head coaching job. The man's character is impeccable as
Right.
far as somebody that's a professional that you want to hire.
Hmm.
Avero's that. And if the Panthers are serious about getting this man the opportunity, they believe in him, and they want him to become a head coach in the NFL, they need to get him some more talent. And
Right.
it needs to be serious in the draft or in free agency or both. Probably a combination of both, where we see this defense greatly improve. So he has what he needs on this team, Pickle, to be successful, to be a top 10 defense. I think that's the
Absolutely.
next goal, is it not? I mean, I'm
Yes.
not saying that the Panthers should become a top 5 defense next year, but can we become a top 10? And what is it really going to take to get there is what I really want to know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, well, go ahead, D Money. Go ahead. Speak up, bro.
The way I look at it is we added just a couple of key pieces on defense that was able to produce consistently over the season this year, which we was all looking for improvement. And Dan Morgan had some other holes that he was looking at going into last year. I think looking at it this year, for the most part, besides really building some O line depth, in my opinion, I really think that he's gonna have a focus on, the linebacker positions, something that this fan base and Cole have been drooling for a little bit. And I think
Mm-hmm.
wherever he feels he can upgrade within this defense, I believe Dan Morgan's gonna take his best shot. And let's not act like last year he didn't try to go for the home run off the gate. He tried with old Milton Williams, and we just fell at the midnight hour on Big Milton. So I got this strange feeling that they're gonna look at Avero a little bit better, just for the fact that I think we're gonna continue to add a little more talent. And he showed from one upgrade of talent how much better our defense could be if we can hit right in those upgrades this offseason. I think we will have a top 10 defense, to be quite honest with you.
Pickle, I just thought about something, and I hadn't really thought about that. So now it's a great way to look at it. If we can spend our money and get us a top talent this offseason, I understand Milton Williams is a great player, but missing out on him that would just ease my pain, knowing that we're spending money on really high caliber players instead of spreading it out between 3 and 4 like we've been doing. I'd rather just go ahead and get that bona fide star, whether it be an edge rusher or a linebacker. Go ahead and pay somebody heavy.
Right. Like if I'm gonna sit down and I didn't pull up anybody, but next week hopefully I'll have the list of prospective free agents for the Panthers.
Yes,
Um, I know they'll have a Nick Scott, our safety, will be a free agent. Um, I know so I'm gonna say they'll have a need at safety. I know they have I personally believe they need to bring in at least two starting safeties or linebackers, two starting
I
linebackers,
agree.
not outside linebackers,
Yeah,
just linebackers.
yeah.
Um, and I believe that they need to get a replacement for uh, DJ Wanham. I like our two young edge rushers now. I believe a vet young edge rusher is needed. Um, Now I can sit here and tell you some names. I could say I absolutely love the idea of Diamond signing Devin Lloyd, a Jaguar linebacker. I may have that name messed up, but
Solid. No, you didn't. You did good.
and I also like the linebacker from the Packers. Now, people can say, "Well, I'd rather have something." Well, you're right, but here's what I would consider: the one is going to be extremely expensive. The other will may not be that expensive. And I would also like to have. I personally want the gentleman from the Eagles that was traded, that used to be in Jacksonville or Miami rather, and was
Oh, you talking
traded.
about Jalen Phillips?
Yes, exactly. I'd like to have him, but a lot of people are wanting Henderson Hendrickson from the Bengals. He's a little older for my taste to spend a lot of money, but stuff like that is what I think we need routes we need to go. Now, you can pull out one of them inside linebackers and draft a guy, but I would rather have them two inside linebackers and kind of let the rookie and Wallace compete for that job. That's the way it should be done. I know when we drafted uh, John Beeson, we didn't need him to start right away. He had other people in front of him. He started right away, but he didn't need to. And when we drafted Luke Kuechly, we had what we called three starting linebackers, and didn't need to start Luke Kuechly, but we did because he showed in camp he could do that. Um, so and I would rather bring in Jay Phillips at edge and let him uh kind of compete and let um Princely come off the bench and let him burn with desire of wanting to start. I want to see him the fire. I want to see him kind of get mad because he ain't starting. That makes for a better show when he gets on the field to play. Uh, and I think that would be a better desiring point for him. I think he has a lot to learn. I think he learned a lot this year. Um, but as far as safety, really haven't decided on a safety that I think would fit in free agency.
No, I hadn't got that far either. I'm sure there's a lot of guys I'll like because we know Avero tends to be heavy on safety anyway. He'll hold a
Right.
couple extra on the roster. And in the chat was talking about Simmons, and yeah, I think Simmons
Yes.
will probably be back. I think they find a way to bring him back. I don't think he would be as valuable as to other teams as much as he's valuable to us. So yeah, I think Simmons is one of those guys. He could be a solution, to be honest with you. He really could. He could end up stealing a job before it's all said and done. As far as him starting, I mean, I could see that as well. Nick Scott's not exactly a spring chicken anymore. I'm not sure about both their ages compared, but I'm pretty sure Simmons is younger than Scott. Um, so I would look for a change there. And in this linebacker, we got to get more competition there, and it's a better quality of talent at linebacker too. Now you talk about a guy like Hendrickson. I don't necessarily like that because we wouldn't be using him towards his strength. We would be
Right.
more using him in his weakness, and that's
Yes.
I don't like the idea of paying a guy a whole lot of money to use him for his weak points and not
Hmm.
using him for his strong points. And that's just the defense we run.
Right.
We've got Avero signed for 2 more years right now. We need to dedicate to him and his defense and how he uses these players. And we need to bring in guys that fit his scheme and do what
Absolutely.
I'm talking about linebackers that are not only good at stopping the run, but linebackers that are good in coverage.
Yes.
It's just a different brand of guy. And you can tell Roseboom, great getting behind the line of scrimmage, disrupting things. He
Hmm.
certainly is a disruptor. But in coverage, horrible. No idea when to turn his head around and when to stop watching the quarterback. And there's a lot of guys on defense like that this year. And we've just got to replace them for guys that are more apt to play a zone defense and know how to swing their heads around and not only watch the quarterback, but watch who's running behind them as well and get into position and play that zone properly. So guys like Roseboom, I don't think they'd be good to bring back for depth, Pickle, but not good to bring back to start. We need to really find a couple starters at middle linebacker.
Absolutely, I do agree, and I completely understand with your logic on that. Bringing in folks to fit Ivero's scheme and system. Stop bringing a guy in and twisting his arm and making him fit somewhere he's incapable of fitting. You know,
Clowney's a great example of that. We brought in
yes,
Clowney. That was horrible. That was awful. A
right,
great run stopper, sure, but getting to the quarterback, playing zone coverage, not good things to ask Javion Clowney to do at this point in his career. Horrible fit. We've got to do a better job in the front
right.
office of targeting free agents that are really going to help and contribute to this defense. You want to bring up Turk Wharton and how that didn't really fit and how he didn't really
Hmm.
help, and Bobby
Right,
Brown was more effective in the run stopping. We can go back over that conversation if we need be, but we got to do a
absolutely.
better job targeting people.
Yeah, you brought up JV and Clowney, and you're right. And Clowney went from R 3-4. He went to the Cowboys and looked really good in their 4-3 defense. Now, granted, Clowney is a year-to-year player. If he's on one team longer than a year, he never looks as good as he does that first year, and he never fit our defense. Um,
Oh,
Turk Wharton is just like that. Turk Wharton played inside, mostly for Kansas City on passing downs. We brought him here to play full time on the outside as an edge in the defense he wasn't suited for, and that's the result we got. We go for these free agents. We've got to bring people in to fit the system. Now,
yeah.
yes, most defensive coordinators will look at who they have and work around their strengths and weaknesses. That's not Ivero's way, so we know we're used for us to harp on that. Go ahead, D.
Well, my thing is if we add a little context into the situation, like those certain picks was retaliation for something else. Like for example, when we brought in Clowney, that was more towards the end of the thing, and we saw that we still didn't have the guys. And Clowney wanted to come for the story, but that was still because we didn't feel that need. Then Kirk, and I'm not saying that Kirk wasn't on the Dan Morgan radar, but we all know when it came to that line, Milton was one,
Right,
and then was everybody else. So when the Milton card went off the table, I think it was now, hey, can we find anybody that has produced and played meaningful football? And they went and got Turk, they went and got Bobby and so forth, which I kind of feel like if we would have got Milton, we probably would have got Bobby Brown and probably wouldn't have went for Turk, in my opinion. But then for me to say that, it's kind of disingenuous because I really still haven't really tapped into Dan Morgan's thought process. But it just seemed like some of the guys that we picked up that we could say we missed with, we took them really out of necessity more than we just had this jumping want for them, I guess is the best way to put it.
I dig that.
As far as with like Wharton, I mean, I don't know where else you could move him around to kind of be beneficial. I don't know what the cap implications are either if we just decided to part ways. But when we got a Scorton, we got a Princely, we got Bobby Brown, who showed off at the end of the year. We got a Ashawn Robinson. We keep Ashawn, which I hope we would bring Ashawn back. And about that business Brown. I mean, kind of the odd man out anyway, if you really ask me. But like I said, I don't know how they really feel about Turk because we only got a real sample serving of Turk.
Mm. I hope they feel better about him than I do.
Yeah, it's big money if we cut him. It would be painful. It'd be I think 14 million D was the money last time Pickle looked it up.
Okay, well then, if that's the case, we're just gonna have to find ways to utilize him, even if he. I hate to say 14 million, and he's just a rotational piece. But if we can use him like how Kansas City used him, we've already signed the deal. We're just gonna have to use him in the aspect. But if Bobby Brown is more effective over there, he needs to get the majority of those snaps, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, and Pickle pointed out something very similar too. But Pickle added on that Bobby Brown's just a run stopper and won't ever get any pressure on the quarterback. We've seen him cave in the pocket a couple times. I've got belief in him. I believe in Bobby Brown more than I do with Turk Wharton at this point. But that's just me, and I'm not a believer in LeBron Ray. I've watched him play enough years now that I'm ready for us to move on and get somebody a little more quality on that defensive line. But
Right.
that's just me.
I think we drafted a guy last year that I think Brian Ray's contract expires, and I think they're going to let him walk to get Cam Jackson those reps, and I'm all for that. I
You
like
know,
Cam Jackson.
I keep forgetting about him.
Yeah, and he played a little bit in the later games and really looked like he can start to handle himself. Um, uh, and I believe that I and Bobby Brown, when he was out on the field, he looked like he knew what he was doing in a 3-4 defense. And that's the point. I think that's why he looked like he knew what he was doing. I don't believe, with all due respect to Turk Wharton, the team wants to blame everything on injuries, and he was injured a lot. I don't think that he fits the position where they want. He's 280. I believe Milton Williams would have fit what they wanted to do a lot more than what um, Turk Wharton fit. Um, I believe Milton Williams was their target, but they didn't want to spend the amount of money on him, so they switched and re-signed and signed Turk Wharton. And I think that was a mistake, honestly.
Yeah, we about should have just did with what we had. I mean, but who knows? He's going to be here next year. Maybe he'll improve this year. Maybe the second year in the Avero system, it's going to click for him.
Right, right.
Everybody's
We're
gonna
going
be
to
a
have.
little better in this next. You're coming out of the off season with a playoff run. You got saw the things that the defense did that people really didn't believe the defense could do this year. We had a lot of high points this past season. I think when you have positive moments, like we always talk about these guys learn from the negative at times, and it builds a fire into them the next year. But I also think having different measures of success also starts to fuel that fire that they want to have that feeling consistently. They want to have those victory Mondays. They want to jump down and celebrate and pass out game balls at the end of a game.
I
And
love
sometimes
it.
having those good moments fuels a guy in his workout, his regiment, his focus, and everything. I think we're going to see a lot more focused of a football team because at least they know now, like, hey, regardless how we did it, we won the division. Regardless how it looked, we beat playoff teams this year. I mean, that's enough right there for the younger guys to be motivated. For some of these older guys who haven't had that experience in their career, that means something to them. They're gonna want it back. And I really think that we're gonna have a great camp. And I think that we're gonna see a little more confidence from different guys that we've been wanting to see confidence from. just because there was some measure of success, and they didn't do well enough to be able to come into next season big headed, which is a beautiful thing. But they also achieved enough to show that, like, hey, we can compete with anybody. And so I'm really, really excited, and not even knowing what guys that we're bringing to the squad via draft or free agency, that we're going to be a better team. And also, just like how the NFL is, when you have a good season the year before, free agents pay attention. And if they think that you and them can have success together, they're going to entertain that phone call. So I'm really excited about what the future looks like for these Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I agree with D Money 100%, Pickle. And remember, I told you a couple weeks ago we needed to do a cheap free agent build. You know
Right.
what I mean? Just like we were handicapped. Well, we were not handicapped. We were handicapped with low cap. Even though we got, the cap went up a lot. We got 17 million
Right.
or something. But I wanted to see what me and you could put together for 10, or what me and you could put together for less than 10 million. You know what I mean?
Right.
To plug some holes and add some depth. Because
Right.
I think we'll have some revelations about this team and this roster going into next season if we spend some time and maybe delve into
Absolutely.
that next week or something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we can. I think that's the plan for an upcoming show. Just to dive in that little bit and explore how we can fill some of our needs we have in a cheap way. Because I mean, yeah, we trust Brandon Tillis to make Cap available, and we know he can do this. But if you make Cap by cutting all your depth, you're not really making good. You're not really helping yourself. If you say, well, the guy who's been starting really good at center, we're going to cut him and pick up a guy. And this other guy, we're going to re-sign him for cheap because he can tackle good even if he can't cover. You're not fixing your team. You're just throwing pieces out there. You're giving if you're gonna cut a starter. Okay, a lot of people are saying Robert Hunt, you cut him, you free up all this money. You're making if you release Robert Hunt to save up all this cap, you're not helping yourself. You're making a small problem a supersized problem. Right? You're not helping yourself at all.
Yeah, we just did
And
that this year. We went all year without Robert Hunt, and it
right,
sucked.
exactly.
And
Yes,
he's
it
a
did.
star, and he's a
I
stud.
mean,
We get him on the field.
right. And to reiterate a point I made on Twitter the other day, I am nowhere shape or form hating on any player, but I'm not going through another season with always injured Brady Christensen and always injured Austin Corbett on this football team. They are free agents. Let them walk away. We don't want them. We don't need them, and we damn sure can get better. I thank them for their service. Goodbye. See you later, alligator. Adios, amigos. And yes, I would definitely pay Cade Mays starting center money. So suck it up, Buttercup. What y'all think?
PSA brought into you by Panther Pickle Enterprises.
You feeling salty now, huh? You guys feeling a little salty now? That's what I want to know.
You got to get it out on a Monday, my friend. Sure day. Oh, I don't know. I didn't blink though. That's the problem, Deez. I don't think he said a lie.
No, and the only thing I would add is we've got to do something at left
Sure.
tackle. We've got
Sure.
to do something because of the injuries so bad and so hard to come back from. And we don't need to rush Icky back. We need to just
Right.
prepare for all season who's going to be our left tackle. And I don't care what they do. They can find a guy they like in free agency. They know people in the NFL. They've been in the NFL forever. They can find somebody decent, I feel like. If they don't do that, well, then let's get a prospect in the draft too. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even going to
Right.
say you have to do a second round pick. Maybe a third or a fourth would cut it
Right.
if it's developmental and you get a guy in free agency. But we've
Right.
got to do a combination of it.
Yes.
However they decide to go about it, you need more than one because of what Pickle brought up about Christensen. I always thought he could be that left tackle, but now
Right.
after these 3 years of consecutive injury now, I don't feel as confident as I used to. And I'm
Right.
kind of cool looking for a guy in free agency and looking for a guy in the draft because Timo, man, he ain't got that many years left. And if we can find a good guy sooner than later to replace him, that sounds like a smart move for the future for the team, if
Right.
you ask me.
Y'all remember we drafted Taylor Moton, um, and he wasn't the worst first round pick we ever drafted used on a player. Um, that's right. He wasn't a first round pick, was he? You don't always need to use a first round pick on a tackle. Um, 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 so, let me see. He was the last pick in the second round. We had a guy before Timo. I was playing Madden 18. D Money, you remember a guy named Daryl Williams? Pretty good
Yeah,
right tackle.
yeah.
Yeah, we
I
used a,
remember.
we used a third round pick on that man.
Was it a third? I thought it was
Yeah,
deeper than that.
I thought it
Oh,
was a
okay.
third. I might
I
have to
thought
look
it
that
was
up
a
again.
third. I
But
know it wasn't higher than a third.
right, and then you had what we used on uh Brady Christensen was a third. So just because you spend a third round pick on an offensive lineman, don't mean he'll bust.
Man, I
Don't
know
mean
for
he'll
like
bust. Don't
two,
mean he's a guy
like
that's going to take 5 years to develop.
I know those like 2, 3 seasons, man. A lot of people, Panther commentators tried to sell me on Brady Christensen,
Sure
which
did.
I didn't really have like much of an outlook. I saw that he was a Swiss Army knife type of guy, but at the end of the day, we also saw that he was injured. That after a while, I kind of started asking myself the question: well, what is this upside of Brady Christensen that everybody keeps talking about? Because I haven't seen him healthy for a good period of time. I thought I was really missing something because I couldn't understand where is the value unless it's the Swiss Army knife ability. But like we've been grown to say and known to say, the best ability is availability. So we didn't really get to utilize any of that Swiss Army knife. Well, was it last year we got to see, he played pretty well for us for a little bit. But like Pickle keep saying, if you can't get out there on the field, we got to find somebody that can. Now this is where I'm ignorant at, and y'all can probably feel me in better. But I know that a lot of people, because of the need, will burn a first rounder quick for a good tackle, and a second rounder for a good tackle or whatever, right?
Hmm.
But why is it that so many people are against like the third round tackle or the fourth round tackle? Because like, don't get me wrong, maybe he's not the top one of the top three tackles on your overall board, right? But when you start talking about teams have to fill other positions and needs, right? That
Hmm.
the fourth best tackles should still be good. The fifth and sixth. Now, after we get past six, then maybe we got a problem. But at least those first five tackles
Right.
should be decent guys, so guys, even down to your guards. Now, I
Right.
can understand the rarity at center, but everything that goes along with center.
Right.
But what outside of a first round pick is really a premium pick for a good left or right tackle?
Right. I don't have an answer to that. I agree with you. I do. I think there's a lot of good offensive linemen that can be selected at random spots in the draft. I don't think a person should discriminate against a guy because it's a certain round. I just don't like that.
I notice it
How
happens
high is
quite a
too high
bit.
to draft one to y'all?
Like everybody will be on a tackle and be like, this guy can help. And then that guys get drafted in the third or the fourth. Well, he won't that great. And I'm like, why is that the case? When you got running backs that can get drafted in the fifth round and have great seasons, like I feel like unless you're drafting in the sixth or seventh round, and this is not even foolproof. But if you're drafting above the sixth or the seventh round, you probably got a guy that's going to be able to perform for you if you do develop him, either that season or following seasons. That's why I always like get curious. Like, why do people like they become so disinterested in the fourth round, in the fifth round, when a lot of them guys, if they make the team, they're probably gonna have to produce for that team in the very near future.
Right. Right.
I mean,
Exactly. And a lot of these guys, and it's what the Panthers are looking for. They're not looking for one guy to do one job. They're looking for an offensive tackle to play left and right that has experience doing that. They're looking for a guard who can play left guard, right guard, and center. They're not going to go out and draft a pure center that's never played any other positions. They want a guy who can play multiple positions. That's what they're game planning for. Go ahead, D. Skills.
no, I agree 100%. Yeah, you guys are all over it. No, you really broke that part down, Pickle. I'm with you on that.
Okay.
It's specific things that they're looking for on the offensive
Right,
line, and we'll see. We'll see how they address it.
right. Oh, one thing I want to bring up, guys. I'm gonna call this my towel of shame. I'm gonna
Uh
dedicate
oh.
this to the NFL. Okay, we've already talked about this, but I'm gonna throw this out there, and then everybody can give me their last 3 cents they have today, and then we'll call it a night. My towel of shame goes to the NFL. My man, Jets quarterback Justin Fields was benched earlier this year and never regained a starting job. In what world do you explain to me how he was offered a Pro Bowl job? I mean,
Okay,
Ian Rappaport is reporting that he was offered to participate in the Pro Bowl, but he declined to focus on his off-season training. And I respect him for that. I respect him wanting to train, but there's no way, shape, or form that he's a Pro Bowl, nor should he be called a Pro Bowler. So it's not about skills; it's about filling a spot because you don't know what else you're doing.
it sounds like they called Aaron Rodgers and everybody else, and they said, "Nah, we good," and
Yeah,
they called Justin Fields.
I mean
Man.
it's. I mean, there's a point now where how do you not just shut down the Pro Bowl?
But Pickle, you know what I just thought about? All the quarterbacks are daggum hurt or did get hurt.
All of them.
Mahomes, Daniel Jones, um, Gino, even though
It
he
was a
won't
bad year for
have
I
quarterback.
mean,
It
Bo
sure
Nick,
was.
pretty much all the ones that earned that really should have been in consideration for a Pro Bowl or would have been in the Pro Bowl are either hurt or just came off an injury, like Joe Burrow. You know, he's not gonna really
right.
participate.
Well, I mean,
Coming in.
is is Stroud already in the Pro Bowl?
I think he was already voted in, but I don't know if he's participating or not.
They could have put Kirk Cousins in the Pro Bowl.
For the AFC?
Well, I mean, he's played in the AFC before.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
No, he
mean, but
hasn't.
Josh Allen could have played in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, he could have. He might still be a little upset right now.
Do you think they offered it to a Tagovailoa?
I mean, who the hell really wants to waste time doing that shit now?
I mean, poor old Zach. They didn't give it to Zach Wilson. They wouldn't even let him play a number two role.
Well, if they asked Justin Fields, right, it would
Right,
be hard for me not to think that they didn't call Tua. I mean,
right. Well, I mean, Trevor Lawrence could play in the Pro Bowl. I mean,
he might already be in because he was in some folks' MVP conversation.
right, right. They could have. You know what? They should have just called Geno Smith and let Geno Smith step up and form in Pro Bowl.
I think Gino got PTSD at this point. The
But
AFC quarterback room got a lot of issues this
yeah,
year.
yeah, Geno, I read an article yesterday that Geno Smith believes he could help the New York Football Jets.
He wants to
I mean,
go
I
back
don't
to
doubt
the.
that. Have you
He
watched
Yeah,
can
him
learn
play
his,
I
lately?
read that.
I have
He
zero
probably
doubt he
right.
can help.
He'll help him get a higher draft pick. Go ahead and sign it.
he didn't learn his lesson the first time. They drafted him. My glutton for abuse. No, I
He's
know what
just
that's
trying
that
to go back into
Stockholm
honor,
syndrome.
right? That's
That's
all
what
it is.
that is. That's Stockholm syndrome.
Now,
When you
Jet,
start to love the person that kidnapped you, yeah.
um, Jet, Jarrett Stidham is available and will travel to the Pro Bowl immediately to help out. You know, he's the ultimate team guy, one of the best quarterbacks that's ever took a snap for the Denver Broncos, says Sean Payton. Anyway,
My goodness.
Now, see, Sean Payton got to get off that ayahuasca stuff that Aaron Rodgers be on. Now, Jared Stidham shows that he won't no bum, okay? But we not about. I'm tired of Sean Payton. When he retiring again?
not soon
Don't
enough.
don't let Pickle rage bait you, D Money. Don't listen to Pickle's mess. He rage baited you right into that one. Don't let him do that mess to you.
It just won't right. Soon as it, oh my God, I'm done.
Did you just lie to be money pickle? You sure did. Look at
Sorry, D Money.
you. Somewhere John Elway is screaming at you right now, sir.
Yeah, well, that's his life. Y'all, thank you for joining us. This is another episode of Deal With It. Thursday night. So you gonna do a show Thursday night, Cole?
I sure am.
All right.
Might even take your idea and we'll do Panther free agents, and then you can follow up with free agents around the league next week. We'll talk about it off air, though.
All righty.
And Brotherhood edition to be back this week, giving a
D
perspective
Money,
on Carolina Panthers. And look for Diesel skills with all these shorts and these beats and everything that he's throwing all over these socials.
Crazy work.
The blue black attack is here, people, and we're only going nowhere but up. And we thank
That's
every
right.
single one of you who support, who share, who watches the comments. We love and thank you for all of your support. And if you ain't with us now, you ain't welcome to the parade. Peace out.
keep
Keep
pounding.
pounding.